Trump and Zelensky's unexpected Vatican meeting, a divine moment of diplomacy. There's something undeniably captivating about Donald Trump, the President of the United States. His flair for the extravagant and the ostentatious is hard to miss. Just take a look at the Oval Office under his leadership compared to that of former President Joe Biden. The difference is striking, with Trump's space adorned with an abundance of gilded frames and a Manhattan apartment that seems to shimmer with gold. Words like asceticism and restraint don't seem to exist in his vocabulary. In a world that often leans towards minimalism and understated elegance, it's refreshing to see someone embrace the bold and the beautiful. Now, let's contrast that with the late Pope Francis, who famously traded in the luxurious for the humble. He swapped out the lavish ermine cloaks for simple cassocks, and chose a modest wooden chair over a grand papal throne. When he first stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's in 2013, he greeted the crowd with a simple "Buonasera," a far cry from the grandiosity that Trump embodies. It's not hard to imagine the private thoughts they might have had about each other. But that's not the crux of the story. When Trump visited the Vatican recently, no serious discussions were on the agenda. Yet, in a surprising twist, he found himself in a one-on-one conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskiy in the stunning St. Peter's Basilica, just before a funeral. They sat beneath a magnificent painting by Carlo Maratta, a scene that seemed almost divine. Trump later described the encounter as the nicest office I've ever seen, a testament to the awe-inspiring surroundings. What moved Trump during that meeting? Was it the breathtaking architecture, the Baroque artistry, or perhaps the sheer weight of the moment? Whatever it was, it felt miraculous. Just 57 days prior, tensions were high in the White House, where Zelenskyy faced criticism from Vice President J.D. Vance and was practically shown the door. In the meantime, Trump had been dismantling the U.S. security guarantees for Europe and seemed to be making concessions to the Kremlin, leaving Ukraine's hopes hanging by a thread. And yet, there they were, two men, one impulsive and the other resolute, sitting across from each other despite the animosity that had brewed between them. With Trump, it's always a gamble. His unpredictability is the only thing you can count on. But this meeting led to his strongest condemnation of Russian President Vladimir Putin yet, along with the threat of secondary sanctions. We don't need to get bogged down in the technicalities of what might happen next. The image of their meeting alone is enough to inspire hope. CNN described the encounter as a remarkable collision of diplomacy and coincidence, but I think they missed the mark. You don't have to be religious to see that it was something greater that brought these two leaders together in the Vatican. Why else would they both be in Rome? What else could explain Trump's admiration for the nicest office he's ever seen? The sight of a Maratta painting of Jesus looming above them, with two mere mortals below, raises questions about whether this was a final act of the pontiff. Historian Tom Holland once said, "The risen Christ cannot be eluded simply by refusing to believe in him." What did he mean? It's a reminder that religion has shaped our world in countless ways. From the weekends we enjoy to the values of generosity and kindness that many hold dear, the influence is undeniable. And let's not forget the religious wars that have marked history, like the Crusades and the 30 Years' War. The key takeaway is that you don't need to have faith in a deity to recognize the impact of religion on our lives. Even if you think of religion as a construct of the overly zealous, it's hard to argue that the world is devoid of a higher power. Sure, daily religious practices may be declining, and fewer people report divine encounters these days. But the essence of faith and its resonance in our lives is something that both Trump and Zelenskyy can agree on.